Now, I didn't think I wanted to test out any more wide-angle prime lenses, but when 7Artisans reached out to me with their 35mm F1.8 L-mount lens, I thought, why not? I'm so fortunate to be able to test out new camera gear. 7Artisans sent me this lens about a month ago, and I've done a lot of shooting with it, and I've been using it with the Lumix S1 Mark II as well as the Lumix S9 full-frame cameras. This video isn't sponsored, and all the opinions are my own, and 7Artisan doesn't review it or anything before it goes live on YouTube. Now, with all these third-party companies making lenses for all kinds of cameras, I mean, we're spoiled for choice. 7Artisan isn't the only company doing this. You may remember that a couple months back, I did a review on the TT Artisan 40mm f2 lens. So these are similar lenses in focal length, but they're quite different in other ways. Here's the basic specs of this lens. First off, it's autofocus. It's f1.8 to f16, and it has a stepless aperture ring. Now that's not for everyone. Close focus is 0.4 meters or 1.3 feet, which is not super close. There's an autofocus manual focus switch on the lens. The filter size is 62 millimeters, and it has an all-metal body and very solid construction, which does make it a bit heavy at times. It's 426 grams. Now that's close to 1 pound for a wide-angle lens. The firmware update is done with a USB-C cord right into the lens as opposed to the lens cap. Now, I feel on some level that this is safer because you won't lose that back lens cap. And I don't know about you, but I'm always switching back and front lens caps between lenses, especially the back caps. They tend to travel a bit. However, you need a Windows computer to update the firmware of this lens, and that's also the same as the TT Artisan 40mm lens that I reviewed previously. So as a Mac person, I find this a little bit frustrating, and I wish that these third-party companies would develop Mac firmware updates. But I realize that they're trying to save money, and I get that. They want us to have the lenses at very affordable prices. Now this chart compares the specs of 3 lenses that I have reviewed on my YouTube channel. So the first column is today's lens, the 7Artisan 35mm prime. The middle column, TT Artisan 40mm prime, and the last column is the Lumix 18 to 40mm zoom. So check those out, and it may help you make your decision. One thing I love about the Lumix is its extremely close focusing distance, and it's kind of like a macro lens in some regard, and the 7Artisans and the TT Artisan have the same close focus distance at 0.4 meters. If you would like to see my other reviews, you can find those links in the video description below, and I'll also leave them at the end of this video. Now, as well as the AF/MF switch, there is a button here that you can customize. Now, I customized it to be focus, so that when I'm holding it, I can focus with my thumb, and I can program the AF on button to something else, or just use it like this, because I kind of like holding my camera like this, as you may have noticed, and I do like being able to focus with my thumb. I find that's a great little addition. And the Lumix lens that I have as well, the wide-angle zoom, the 24 to 60, also has a programmable function button on the side of the lens, and I use it for the same thing. But you could use it for anything, and your mileage may vary, but don't forget to program that because you get added functionality. I went out several times with this lens and shot in bright sunshine as well as at night, and I'm going to share with you now some of those video clips and photos that I took during my testing. Now, because of the opportunities to test out these prime lenses lately, I've kind of learned to think differently about my photography. I find composition is different. When you use a zoom lens, if it's not quite right, well, you just zoom in or out. Same with birding. And typically with birding, I'm usually zoomed out all the way, or zoomed in rather, to the longest focal length, because I want that bird as big as possible in the frame. But shooting with wide-angle primes is a much different beast. I find that I have to move my feet a little bit more. I have to really think about my compositions much more carefully than with zoom lenses. I mean, in contrast, birding, you want that bird as big as possible. Sometimes the lighting's not perfect, but you just want to get that bird. And with using wide-angle primes, especially with street photography or even in the studio, I've got to watch all the corners, because every once in a while I get like a light stuck in the corner and I'm like, ugh, because I have to really watch all the edges much more carefully than when I'm birding. When I'm birding, I just want that bird. Overall, I found this was a very nice lens. I love the color pop. I find there's good separation between foreground and background when shooting with shallow depth of field. I really enjoyed the optics. Now, it is a little softer around the edges of the frame, and that is typical of lower priced lenses. It's just at the very edges of the frame that you really notice it, and only when your lens is wide open. If you stop down a bit, you will not see that sort of softness coming through. And it's really slate. The bokeh is quite dreamy. I don't mind the bokeh at all with this. As far as chromatic aberrations, I couldn't produce any artificially myself, so they weren't really jumping out at me either. The autofocus is quite fast for both photo and video, and it has a silent stepper motor. I've taken it to the skate park and shot friends with it, as well as done my own tests with video and photos. Let's go with something far away. Fence. Bush, crow, watering can. Let's move a little bit. Spout of the watering can. I did some video tests
to go to the left side
of me walking around with the camera, as well as me being stationary and tapping areas of the screen.
To go to the bush in the middle,
on the back of the camera.
Going to go to the crow on the right side. Going to go to the Buddha. Going to go to the watering can.
I found the focus ring really nice and smooth with just enough resistance so it's not slippy and not too tight. However, on the particular lens that I have, I found the f-stop ring, the stepless f-stop ring, a little bit tight, and I'm wondering if you're shooting video, if you might end up moving the camera. Now, I didn't have this experience myself because I have a really good tripod, but if you have a cheaper tripod and you're moving your f-stop ring around, it might jiggle things around a bit when you're shooting video. For photos, it doesn't really matter that much. Now, I've been using this 35mm lens for the in-studio portions of the last couple of videos that I've made. And I find it's just the perfect focal length for working in a tight space. It doesn't add distortion like a super wide angle would, like a 28 even would add too much distortion. But I'm in a small space here and I have everything really close to me. Like my lights are just right here, like a couple inches from the edge of the frame. My camera is less than 3 feet in front of me. My computer's like 5 feet in front of me. So I'm working in a really tight space, and the 35mm focal length is just perfect. I feel like I'm not too big in the frame or too small, and I have a little room to crop in if I need to, and I'm not distorted. But if you're going on a long hike, I do find it is a little on the heavy side. At 1 pound, if you had it on the Lumix S9, which is a much smaller body, it might be a little harder to manage on a hike, especially if you're holding it a lot, taking a lot of pictures, and you're not on a tripod. So in that case, if I was going on a long hike with just the S9 or just an everyday kick around carry, I find this is too big for that, and I would go for the TT Artisan 40mm for an everyday carry instead of this, because it's much lighter and much shorter in stature. Now, I'm a huge fan of lens hoods, as I may have already told you, and this has a lovely It's a plastic Tulip lens hood because, well, you wouldn't want to add any more weight to this. And I like a lens hood because it protects from physical banging. So I've had this lens for over a month and I was able to take lots of daytime and nighttime photos. I shot some skateboarding friends. I shot some video on Halloween and had a great old time with this lens. I think it's quite versatile. It's a really nice focal length for me. I really enjoyed testing it out, and it's definitely going to be staying in my camera bag, especially when I'm using the S1 Mark II. Before I sign off on this video, I've got one quick announcement, is that 7Artisans is having Black Friday sale. I've got links in the video description. 15% off, no coupon code required. And if you see this video after Black Friday, well, you'll just have to keep your eye out for other sales on their website. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on the other wide-angle L-mount lenses that I've reviewed, you can watch these videos next. I will also link them in the video description.